The views and opinions expressed during this recording may or may not reflect the views of the sponsors of the content. They also do not reflect the views of the employers of those that appear on the show. Views and opinions expressed here expressly belong to those stating them. Enjoy our show.
Hey.
Chop Soccer, we back in the building. How you doing, Ken?
It's good, man. Like freezing up here, bro, but
Bruh.
like we
Should
making
we
it
have
happen.
a freeze off?
Yeah, it's how cold's it gotten in New York so far?
So right now it
Yeah,
is. Of course, I can't easily see this information on the fucking Mac.
let's
Um, of course, they're showing me the temperature in Cupertino, California, because yeah, I absolutely give a fuck about that. Um,
Oh, I think you might have me
yeah,
cuz it's actually warm. It's actually warming up here.
it's 22 degrees in New York. With the wind
Oh,
chill, it's probably around 18.
oh yeah, it's warming up here. It's a smooth 33 right now. Heat
Oh,
wave. Heat wave.
yeah. So, yeah,
We
that's what this last week has been like. Just fighting sickness. I had a fever for a while. I was down basically like a week straight. It was rough.
Woo,
But we back, man. We back. We
we
back.
back. Tell them about your event.
Oh yeah. So uh for a long time I've had it in my mind to open a hi-fi bar. And I was like, stop fucking around and like actually put in the legwork and try to open an actual hi-fi bar. So this past weekend, I had my first real event. It was a trial run. I called it GCon the demo.
Ooh.
And yeah, I brought my equipment down and invited people and provided free food and drinks and played music on vinyl and explained kind of what the concept is. Excuse me, why it is. And yeah, everyone seemed to enjoy it. I got really good feedback on it. I know it's a viable business idea because they exist and they all do pretty well. But again, I'm just trying to figure out how to shape it in a way that's specific to my tastes and separate myself from the others that exist, which is not very hard to do. I kind of know what they all do anyway. And if I can just get going and market it, I can definitely create a unique experience in the space. So yeah, this past weekend was my first event. It was awesome. Not perfect. There's a lot of unknown monkey wrenches that popped up, but that's how it goes.
Word,
Yeah,
word,
man.
word. Yeah, I saw the music, man. Like just checking it out on your Instagram page. Shout out the Instagram page so people come give you a follow.
Oh yeah. Gcon Hi-Fi. That's JIKANHIFI on Instagram. I post my record collection with clips of the music and bourbon whiskey.
Bourbon whiskey. Yeah, you definitely have some bangers. Like I don't want to say I know a lot of the music that
Mhm,
you post. I'm familiar with a bit of it,
mhm.
but also what is really impressive to me is how you're able to find a lot of this music on vinyl. Like a lot of this music, is just very easily accessible through your Spotify's or your Apple Music's or like what have you. But the ability to actually like collect it on vinyl and then turn that sound into richness, the sound richness quality in like vinyl is it's just a totally different thing. Like it is an
Yeah.
experience. And a lot of these albums I didn't even know existed in vinyl.
Mhm.
So, your ability to just source this stuff is amazing.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, it's definitely been an effort. Some of it is not easy to find. A lot of it is not easy to find. Some of the stuff that I'm really looking for, you know, I know my taste is what it is
Yeah.
anyway, but it's reinforced by the fact that when I go looking for something that I've listened to a million times over, and then I go look for it on vinyl, and they want $250 for it on vinyl
Yeah.
because it's that rare. It's that, like, if you know, you know. And so the people that have it won't give it up. And
Yeah.
the other people that are selling it are like, well, it's going to cost you because you can't get it otherwise. So it's that type of stuff. Not everything costs that much, obviously, but some of the pieces that I would like really, really love to have in my collection, the only reason I don't have them is because they're just outrageously expensive on vinyl.
Yeah. And you source a lot of your vinyl locally too, right?
A lot locally. I try to go to different stores. That's one of the blessings of being in New York. I mean, you were here. We went digging together when you were here. Like,
Yeah.
we got options. And
Yeah.
even if you go to just a couple, there's still like so much available. But yeah, anytime I travel, when I was in Kentucky, I did some digging. I do digging in Maryland, all over New York, wherever I am, I'm looking for a record store. I went digging in Chicago and brought back probably like 5 or 6 records. So
Yeah.
wherever I go, I'm hitting a record store to see what I can find, especially at regular retail,
Yeah.
because vinyl is so hot right now. So people are spending outrageous amounts on rare pressings and special covers and all this stuff. Like, that's cool and all that, but I'm not trying to impress people with how much I spent on these records. I want to get the music that I love, listen to it, and that's that. All that flipping and reselling. That's like the sneaker thing. It's just like that. It make the shit so tired so fast.
Yep.
Yeah.
And like I always like think about when it comes to just like different things like photos and music and stuff like that. Like, when you're on your phone, or like when you're able to take a billion pictures, like, digitally, or listen to any music digitally,
Mm-hmm.
you really lose the ability to save it over a period of time, because, like, how many phones have you been through in the past 10 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then just like how has music moved in the past 10 years, where like 10 years ago, like, we were downloading MP3s and stuff like that, right? Like now it's
Right.
straight to streaming, right? Like, like I have some vinyls that are from like, the 60s and the 70s, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because like, they're actual physical copies of music, right? And it's just like, as Drake Daddy say, like, only real music's gonna last. All that other music is here today and gone tomorrow. But yeah, like vinyl is definitely one of those things where like if you know, you know, and it's a
Yeah.
good habit to have. It just like really is, because this is stuff you'll have for life.
Yep. Yep. Especially if you take care of it.
Yeah,
Let's get into some soccer talk, man, because I could be on this all day.
yeah.
The World Cup. It looks like the final will be hosted in Dallas at the bum ass Dallas Cowboys Stadium.
Shots fired.
Yeah. So, what does this say about the state of American soccer? I don't know. What you got?
Um, I mean, I think it's kind of a two-parter. I think that um there were only a few stadiums that I think could really actually do this. Like it was either going to be MetLife in New York,
Mm-hmm.
SoFi out in LA, or like Jerry World down here in Arlington. So, like, as many stadiums as there are in America for as many different sports, I really think that like that is really telling that at the end of the day, like there was only going to be three places it could be, and none of them are soccer specific, which is really what I think the big like like elephant in the room is here, is that why aren't why isn't there a soccer specific stadium in America that would be able to host something like a World Cup final?
Because in order to host a World Cup final, what size do you think they would really want it to be?
At least 70, at least 70,000.
70,000 people. right?
Yeah.
Outside of the NFL, let alone soccer, outside of the NFL, what sport period can seat 70,000 plus on a regular basis in the United States?
I mean, certain college football teams, but I mean, like that's really
That's
just like
still
college
football.
football. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I get it, but I
Yeah.
mean, like my thing is like, is the sport really growing if we're getting?
Yes.
I don't see it. I'm just gonna go out. You can put me on the ledge. I don't see it.
Okay.
I don't see it.
The sport is absolutely growing. I mean, the fact that it's being hosted here again is massive. The amount of soccer focused content that we're getting leading up to the World Cup here in the United States is proof that it's growing. The amount of conversation that we hear about the game in general, but probably specifically the US men's national team, is probably the best coverage we've ever had. So it's growing. Is it at a point now where we can justify having at least a single stadium specifically for soccer that seats 50 to 80,000 people? Absolutely not. But a lot of places in the world can't do that. So it's not specific or special to us.
I mean, I understand what you're saying, but I definitely am going to start pushing back on the narrative that soccer is growing in the country. I think it's
Hmm.
becoming like I think it's being put more in our face. I think it's more popular, but I mean, to say that soccer is like really growing in the country at the rate we would want it to be growing, or even just like continuously growing,
Hmm.
like I think we've just got to see more. Like I really think we've got to see more. And like I would push back on the idea that the all the tournaments that are going to be held here are going to be held here because the sport is growing, and I would say that they're going to be held here because niggas out here trying to get that bread.
That is the growth, man.
I don't know if that's the growth or not, or just like it ain't really
Potato,
that.
patata.
It
Those
ain't that.
tournaments wouldn't even make it a consideration if they couldn't get that bread. So,
Yeah, but I mean, like, I would say they would because, like, if you look around the world, man, like especially in North America, bro, it's not a lot of safe places to hold tournaments nowadays. Like when you looking up and down like the Central and South American continent.
mhm.
So like, if you want to do a cash grab and still only hit like however whatever percentage of the population, like, because it's not like, another thing is I don't want to say it's not going to be a lot of Americans, but like there's a reason that the US plays in Columbus to have like a pro American crowd, right? And I
Yeah,
don't think that there are any World Cup games that are going to be in Columbus. Like, you know what I mean?
yeah,
Like it's going to be in very diverse places with populations that might not necessarily all be like American soccer fans.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Do you
And
think it should have been in New York?
I no, actually, not for any hate towards New York or MetLife,
Hmm.
but I really think the reason it was going to come down to California and or Mexico is because that's where you're going to get a lot of the Mexican population also. And
We
if
got Mexicans. No, I'm fucking. I'm fucking
oh, oh man, but I think
uh,
the real reason it was going to be in like I really think it was going to be in Texas or Mexico is because, like, like, isn't
Texas
this
or Mexico?
not Texas or Mexico, Texas or California? I'm sorry. I think the reason this was going to be in Texas or California was because isn't this is supposed to be like a try hosting thing, right? Between like Canada, US, and like, Mexico. So
Yep.
like, the final had to be somewhere where like, it could be represented by like, more than one nation. Cause I really think they just threw Canada in there, you know, because they're on our northern border.
They definitely did that because they're on our northern border. And it helped them alleviate the cost and sell the package.
Yeah, exactly. Like I just
Yeah.
think so much of this is political that like, it was never going to be where we wanted it to be, cuz not for nothing, if it was where we wanted it to be, it should have been in Miami. Like Miami would have
No.
made the most sense.
No.
Why wouldn't Miami have made the most sense?
Um, I don't know actually. It just don't feel right.
I think it feels perfect.
I don't know. It doesn't feel
Um
right.
I think it's perfect because that's where why am I having a brain fart here? That's where Inter Miami is. That's where
Mm-hmm.
Messi is. Like when you're talking about the center of the North American soccer universe right now, it is
Mm-hmm.
basically Miami,
Yeah,
right?
that's
They
fair.
have they have a stadium. They have a stadium there, the Orange Bowl in Miami,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like how many does the Orange Bowl seat? The Orange Bowl seats
That's got to be 80 plus.
80 plus. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like,
Gotta be. Hold on.
yeah, 74 and up to 82 for concerts.
Woo!
Yeah.
God
Like,
damn.
if it was gonna be like based on vibes, I would have said like Miami has to host it. Cause like Miami's basically an international city anyway. And Miami hosting a World Cup final, bro, like you could go to Miami and not even like you wouldn't even have to go to the World Cup final, my guy.
Yeah, facts.
Like it's in the summer, you got South Beach, like that would have been vibey, right? But
Yeah,
it's very clearly politics, and that's why we got Texas.
that's why we got Texas. Um,
And as
more
George Strait
MLS
says,
news.
all my
Huh?
exes live in Texas. Good old
None
George
of my
Strait.
exes live in Texas. uh, MLS referees. They might be going on strike, man.
Whew.
Um,
How you feel about that?
Man, I'm gonna just go ahead and jump out the window. This might be good for the league. Fuck these motherfuckers, man. These niggas is trash anyway.
Oh my god!
Ah!
Oh, I don't think that's I don't think that's a hot take at all. I don't think that's a hot take at all.
Members of the Professional Soccer Referee Association, the union that represents professional referees in North America and Canada, have unanimously voted to authorize a strike. This was announced on Monday. The vote sets up a major showdown between PRSA and its employer, the PRO, with 1 month remaining until the 2024 MLS season kicks off. PRSA also said it filed an unfair labor practice charge with the National Labor Relations Board for so called direct dealing, the act of bypassing union leadership to bargain directly with a union's members. Hey, listen, man, this street shit.
Oh yeah,
If your man's is in the fucking meeting, that's on y'all. Why the fuck they in the room with them niggas?
yeah,
Put some bread in their pocket.
yep.
You know what I mean? That's like y'all niggas ain't watch what's the joint with Franklin Saint
Why am I Snowfall?
Snowfall. Y'all better
Yeah,
watch Snowfall, man. That man Franklin made sure the hood was good with him.
yeah, bro.
And he have no issues.
If you don't,
Anybody that ain't come up with him though, they trying to get a little piece. He said, "Nah, we Trump tight over here."
yeah,
So why is your man's
in the meeting.
being direct able to be direct dealt to? It shouldn't even be able to direct deal to you
It sounds like the union ain't doing their job, man. Like
at all, bro.
if you don't feed the wolves, they're gonna put you on the menu, bro. Like just facts.
Right.
Like, you know, I don't
Them
know. I
refs
don't
like
know.
we wanna referee World Cups too.
Yeah, we want to get some of this MLS money too.
Right.
Y'all just got 2.5 billion and we getting 30,000 a year to ref. Uh-uh. Math ain't mathing.
The math ain't mathing, bro.
Math ain't mathing. But
Do you think this strike will actually get off?
I don't know, man. I don't know, but not for nothing. Like I've always been a proponent of if you want better quality, you got to pay for better quality.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, like pay teachers more, pay police more, pay the referees more. Like if you want better quality, like, finding out these guys making 30 to $50,000 a year to ref games, like, of course, like of course the referee is gonna be trash because like who you getting? Like
Right.
who you getting? I mean, it's a good quote unquote part time job, but like you should have full time refs. Like the league, like all the good leagues have full time refs.
Right.
Like the NBA has full time refs, the NFL has full time refs, MLB has full time refs. Like you just got 2.5 bill. Like man, pay these guys, pay the homies,
Yeah.
pay the zebras. Oh, well, I guess we can't call them zebras because they don't wear like.
PRO has stated on multiple occasions that the PSRA needs to get realistic about its proposals. The PRSA said that's
Oh, this ain't happening. 30 days away. This ain't happening. 30 days away. You telling me in a month they gonna go from get real to we strike the deal? Like, nope.
I think they will because they can't afford a lockout. Pardon me. They can't afford a lockout. So they got to figure out a way to make both parties happy, at least for this season. I don't understand why this wasn't rectified before now, anyway.
Man, they about to go get some amateur refs, bro. Like, we didn't seen this. We didn't seen this movie before.
They
We
are
didn't
not.
see
That's
this
not
movie.
happening, bro.
We didn't see this movie before. They about to go get some amateur refs. Like, shit.
Ken, you know this not happening.
Some of the people that ref my Friday night league might be refing MLS games pretty soon, bro.
It can't, bro. They cannot. They cannot. You know why they can't?
Why?
You know why they can't.
Why?
Messi, bro.
I don't think anybody would notice. I don't think anybody would notice.
Bruh, what are you talking about? People would absolutely notice.
I,
If you got some amateur refs up there fucking up calls left and right at the start of the season too, when everybody's like excited and you got a nice fresh set of eyes and energy on the game, and the refereeing is just great. I mean, it's shit anyway, which is unfair, but whatever.
that's what I'm saying. Like, do
But
you think it's
it's
going to be statistically significant? Do you think the difference is going to be statistically significant?
yeah.
I, I don't know, man.
I
I
mean, this
mean,
article specifically mentions in 2014 the error rate on key decisions skyrocketed for the 3 weeks of the lockout. MLS players in 29 teams are accustomed to matches being refereed a certain way, with special attention paid to dangerous tackles, head injuries, substitutions, and speed of play rules. There is a lot that you need to have a handle on at this level of the game and in this specific time of the game in the United States, bro. This lockout is not happening. Don Garber would be an absolute fool to not flex his muscle and make sure this deal happens because they cannot afford this type of fuckery right now.
I mean, I understand what you're saying, and
You just don't care.
everything you saying sound logical, bro. But if we was dealing with logic, it wouldn't be 30 days before the season, and the boys wouldn't have been paid.
I mean, I guess that's part of the union strategy, though, is they bring the shit up now because the contract expires on the 31st, so they stall it out and use it as a negotiating tactic. Like, yeah, if you don't get this shit done, meet our demands by the 31st, you won't have any referees.
Yeah, but I mean, like, without directly knowing the demands, I would go on a ledge and say that, you know, the union gets paid to represent like fair market equity amongst, like, referees across the spectrum, right?
Hmm.
So when I hear something like them telling the referees union that they need to get realistic on how much they getting paid, like, to me it sounds like either the union is just like going crazy with the demands, which I would be far less likely to believe, or I think they just underpaying the guys, right? Like, I just don't think they want to pay the guys.
Um, I don't know. I'm
I mean, this
hoping
is a
it's
lot of
more
speculation,
complex than that. Yeah, exactly.
but I just don't think they want to pay the guys.
You
Like,
need to pay them.
it's making me wonder about this MLS deal too. But that's another topic for another day.
Yeah. Um, sorry, hold on. I don't know what the hell's going on. Wrexham will be live streaming games for free in the USA. Uh, I don't know why,
Because ain't
but
no money in soccer.
mm, let's get into it. Why is there no money in soccer when there seems like there's so much money in soccer?
Because, man, like, all of this shit's fugazi, bro. All of this shit's fugazi. Like, and it's not just soccer, man. Like, if you look at like streaming numbers and like all that stuff, like, it's all just a house of cards, bro. It's all just a house of cards. Ain't no real money in this. And like, if you're not the EPL, if you're not the Bundesliga, if you're not La Liga, like, those are probably the three leagues that are actually like really able to be profitable.
Mm-hmm.
Like, everybody else, man, like, it just ain't it. Like, it really just ain't it. And I don't want to come off as like being a hater, which I ultimately probably am. They're probably going to be like, "Oh, you a hater." But I mean, if there was more money in the sport, then we would be seeing things like happen differently. And like, I
Yeah,
just
my
don't.
question is if the show that we all know Wrexham for is on Netflix, why didn't they just do a Netflix streaming deal?
Because you can get people to watch the show, you ain't gonna get niggas to watch the games.
But if it's free in your Netflix subscription that you already pay for and you already go there to watch the show.
I just I mean, I think once you get to the like streaming nature of it, I think it becomes a lot more difficult to kind of like platform singular team games like this. So they would kind of have to, do it like, either on their own, like, where are they hosting this at, right? Like, what do you have to do? Go to their website to watch it? Like,
I guess.
yeah, like, I think you have to go to their website. Yeah, like they're really banking on this being a loss leader,
Mm-hmm.
and they're really banking on this being a loss leader, quote unquote, taking a lot of loss, like posting this for free, for people to be able to watch it, like, around the world to kind of build their fan base. But it's like I don't know, like, there are plenty of smarter people than me that, like, that probably have this thought out way more, but it's hard to get people to pay for something once they've been getting it for free. And then if you can't sell something and you start dropping the cost, it's hard to turn around and raise the cost again.
Yeah.
Right. And that's where I get back to, like, this whole like streaming deal. And it's like, like, if you aren't making money off of your content right now, then like nobody's going to give you money for your
Right.
content. And if you are trying to sell your content for a certain amount and you're having to continually lower that price, like, once you find that price point, nobody's going to like deal with that price point going back up.
Right.
So to me, if, like, you're turning your soccer games into a loss leader potentially, right? Like, basically giving away the content as like free marketing or free advertising and in hopes of like selling something else, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
selling jerseys, selling merch, like blah, 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 blah. What you giving me the side eye for?
They not selling none of that shit. Nobody actually care about no fucking Wrexham, bro. I don't care what these MLS niggas is talking about on the side, talking about they watch this show and tell better stories and all that. Ain't nobody buying none of that shit, bro.
And and that's my point. That's kind of it's kind of where I land. Like, you're not gonna turn no soccer game into no loss leader, my guy. Like, you're just
Yeah.
not. Like, you're just not. Like, you're not. We ain't gonna see Wrexham jerseys out here in the streets. Like, we just not. And that's the fundamental. Like, I think that's the fundamental miscalculation that everyone has about soccer, is that, like, they think that the growth and the popularity of the sport is going to transition into like more jersey sales and like more things like that, like downriver.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, if you're not Real Madrid, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, Manchester United, Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, Man City, you're probably not selling no jerseys.
Yeah.
Like, and then you got your national team, like your men's national
Right.
team, like, but like, oh, your women's national team, but like, you're just not selling a lot of jerseys, man.
Yeah.
Like, you're not selling a lot of merch.
Let's leave Wrexham alone because all I'm gonna do is dog him anyway.
Yeah.
The Zone will be live streaming women's football for free 99. How do you feel
What are we
about
doing here?
this?
just what are we
Uh,
doing here?
we are investing in the women's game.
What are we doing here?
That's what it is. No, this is good. What do you mean? What are we doing? This is good.
I mean, it's good for the consumer, but also like it undercuts the profitability argument of women's sports that they make, at least at the level that is like being mentioned, like the multiples that are being mentioned. You know what I mean? Like, once again, like, if DAZN is going from, like, charging a package to exclusively watch women's sports to having to give it away for free to get people to watch it, because they're saying, like, they literally say in their statement that, like, there's an appetite to watch women's sports, there's not an appetite to pay to watch women's sports. Then what are we doing here? Like, I mean, there's a level that people would pay to watch women's sports specifically. But, like, if you tell me I gotta pay, if you tell me my Paramount Plus subscription is $10 a month,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I get the NWSL and the FAWSL and like a couple other, like, women's sports leagues as a part of that. I'm like, bet, right? Because I'm getting it as a part of a bundle. But if my Paramount Plus subscription is $11.99, and then my DAZN subscription is $11.99, like, I don't have DAZN. Like, I just don't.
Yeah.
Because
No one
between
has that shit. That's why they need freemium content, nigga.
it's
No
fucking
one
two
has
people.
this shit. And the
Yeah,
only people that might have had it was the people that really, really love boxing because they
yeah,
started with a bunch of boxing content. So if you were really heavy into boxing, you might have the zone. But outside of that, nobody has this shit, bro.
yeah. I
You ever
think
here we go. I'm gonna put it on you right now.
okay.
You ever
Pause.
ask a nigga for the zone login?
No,
Not never.
no. I was calling it DAZN until like a week ago. Just never. Like, I think this is the inverse of the men's soccer argument we have, right? Like, the men's soccer argument is like nobody's really watching MLS or American League soccer here. Everybody's watching European soccer.
But
You
go
think that's
ahead.
cap? Okay, okay. Well, I think it's the inverse, where like most people watch European soccer, they don't watch American soccer when it comes to the men's league. I think when you're talking about women's sports, most people watch the NWSL when it comes to women's soccer fans here in America and aren't watching the European game. Right.
Yeah,
Like
no.
I just think that inverse exists.
Yeah.
And then you're starting to get more like people watching, like, some European women's soccer, stuff like that. But like, nah, man, DAZN wasn't about to make no money on this. Like, they just weren't.
Um, is this also just like a an inevitable conclusion in the evolution of streaming content today? Because everything is behind a paywall, people need to find more creative ways to entice you to either switch services or maintain services. So they're offering this women's soccer content because they're like, oh, all right, this is the in the grand scope of content that we have licensed to, we will feel the most comfortable offering this content for free as opposed to that content.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%. I definitely feel like they in there looking at numbers and they like, okay, like, how can we pick up markets with what we have that currently exists?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because you're right. Certain stuff you're not giving away for free because it's still profitable for you. But if you're already showing a loss on it and you basically can't give it away, like, this is like putting it on the rack outside the store and leaving it overnight, my guy. like like, like, I don't want you to steal it, but like, like, we got cameras out there. But it ain't like, at this point, like, it just is what it is. Like, it
Yeah.
really just is what it is.
Do you think it will work? Do you think their plan to entice more subscribers and fans of the women's game to pay for some sort of content or content package later, do you think they will be successful?
No. No, because no, like
Why
it'll get
not?
people to watch it. Like I'm gonna watch it
Because it's
because I
free.
love it's free soccer, right? But you're not gonna turn around and get me to pay for it once they be like, all right, we're putting it behind the paywall again. I'm gonna be like, well, that was fun.
Right.
You remember when we could watch that shit for free?
Yeah, it's me.
Yeah, it's me. I'm niggas. Oh man. Oh man. Oh man. Yeah, I think it's gonna work. But like I don't I don't think it's going like once you start upping that price again, like,
Yeah.
it ain't gonna be bad.
Yeah.
You might be able to get me for like a single game. Like if I watch all the Champions League, you might be able to charge me like $4.99 to watch the Champions League final, and I'd be like, all right, you got it. But like you ain't about to get me for like $5 a month,
Right. 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 Right.
right?
Um, and more women's soccer news. Um, let's talk about the NWSL and the draft.
Ooh,
Is the draft an antiquated way of dispersing talent across NWSL? Let's talk about
maybe, kinda. Um, I would say, I would say there are better ways to disperse talent across the league. I would say there's no better way to build a narrative than the draft.
it. Hmm.
Because if you look at like the value of the draft in other leagues, it's basically like a giant news cycle. And like, the problem with the draft in soccer now for MLS and NWSL is that you don't have to join a team through the draft, right? Like, could you imagine how big of a tizzy MLS would be in if like Messi had to enter the draft and Inter Miami had to get the number one pick to draft Messi?
Well, they did. It's called the allocation order.
Yeah. But I mean, like, yeah, they did essentially. But like, ain't nobody like, don't nobody know what the allocation order is. Like, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like, streamline that shit out, turn it into the draft. And then as people like turn it into the draft, and then as people declare, like you have a whole news cycle. Like the
Right.
NFL is good for this shit, man. Like the NFL is good for this shit. The NBA is good for this shit. You can project out players then, right? Because this is how people are introduced to your next level of stars, right?
Hmm.
Like that's the big benefit of the draft. The big benefit of the draft is that it's your way of allocating talent across the league and introducing that talent to new people before they get to the league, right? So if you let's say, okay, so look at the Chicago Fire, right? Like the Chicago Fire have been trash for a long time, right? Like
Which is
halfway through
unfortunate,
the
but
season, halfway through the season, there's no hope. Like halfway through the season, there's no hope, and there's
it
nothing else
takes
to
that
talk
long.
about. Okay, okay.
I'm
You said it.
sorry. I'm
You said it
sorry.
that long.
I'm
Oh,
sorry. I'm
no,
sorry.
you're gonna get me beat up at the Fire games, man. They're gonna be trying to fight me in the supporter section. I mean, I don't sit in the supporter section because I got money, but they're gonna be trying to fight me in the supporter section, bro.
I'm sorry.
Oh my
I
god.
apologize.
Nah, I mean, but it's real though. It's real. It's about a quarter of the way through the season. It's about a quarter of the way. As soon as it starts getting warm, you be like, all right, like I'm just here for the vibes. But like, what else do you have to talk about if your team sucks? Like, your team gonna suck early on. Like, what else do you have to talk about? You don't get the hope for next year because there's nothing that carries on. Like, there's none of that shit, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, yeah, are there like quote unquote better ways to like distribute talent throughout, like, throughout the league? Probably. Is there a better way to generate interest in a news cycle, like just perpetually over and over and over and introduce your new stars to the league? Not a chance.
Yeah. Um, I think the place the draft makes the most sense is NWSL because it's so small right now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, to keep parity and to provide opportunity as best you can, given your current setup, the draft makes a lot of sense for the NWSL. For MLS, I don't think it makes sense at all.
Mm-mm.
But I understand how they're trying to keep everything to in line with the NFL and NBA. Um, but yeah. Wait, does MLB have a draft?
Mm-hmm. MLB has a draft, but the way
Who
the
the
ML
fuck? I've never watched that shit ever.
because MLB is a different model. MLB, so the difference between Major League Baseball, and this is why I say like the draft definitely makes sense for soccer, because the difference between Major League Baseball and football and basketball is that in football and basketball, you have a primarily television product, right? Like you have, large TV deals in football and basketball. You have like, pretty large ticket gates, but like you're selling a lot of ads on your television product in football and basketball. Baseball, you're not really selling a lot of ads. It's a lot of local market type stuff, right? Like people have to come to the games, people have to attend the games. So it doesn't really matter about the draft when it comes to MLB if most of your like way you're leaning in is going to be like game day experience, right? Like there are 162 fucking baseball games, right?
Yeah,
So,
a lot.
so the draft doesn't really matter as much because like, the scarcity of product is like super low. But for like NFL, you only got 16 games. Like, you're selling 16 television shows, basically,
Right.
right? Each team has 16 television shows, right? So for like a sport like soccer, like, if you're really trying to get it on television, you're trying to get it in the continual news cycle. Like, you need a way to keep people engaged that isn't, you know, like what have people been talking about during the off season of like MLS and NWSL? Like nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, if it wasn't for Messi, it would be a bunch of nothing. If it wasn't for them smoke shows at the off season, like, putting out thirst traps on Instagram, it'd be nothing. So, so like, what are we really out here talking about? Like, there's just nothing to talk about, with soccer, like perpetually. And like, it's a problem, big problem.
Yeah. Um, if the NWSL doesn't draft, then what do they do?
They're going to try to do like the whole just open free agency thing, and like players can just like join any team they want at any time they want, which is the European model. But that's going to be like there's not enough interest in the game like perpetually for that to really matter, because like what you're going to end up with is if you don't have like a US women's national team star, you know, like, Gotham has like 8 of them now, right? So they're
Mm-hmm.
cool. But I mean, like, what happens if you're like, you know, the Red Stars, right? Like the Red Stars, take Chicago Red Stars. They drafted somebody that they just signed somebody who came in from Bayern Munich, right? Like, I'm sure she's a really good player. I'm sure she's a really big deal. But, outside of the 1,000 people that care about Chicago Red Stars offseason moves, like, is that going to move the needle anywhere else?
No.
So like, what are we doing here? Like, what are we like? What are people like? What are people expecting the news cycle to be like if like you're not giving people things to care about? Like, it's just not
Yeah.
happening. And I know I sound like a Debbie Downer, and like like I'm
He said, "Bitch, I might be."
But I mean, low key, like I'm excited for the NWSL season. I'm excited for like the MLS season this year because I mean, I think, on like par, there's going to be way better like games than there has ever been in both leagues. But like there's only so many segments you can go through, when you like, okay, like, is this gonna be the best? Is this gonna be the best season ever? Like, how many times you gonna talk about Gotham, like, having the best team in the league now?
Every goddamn day.
Yeah, and that shit's gonna get old and cold real fucking
No
fast.
one's gonna care.
Yeah. And that's what's happened now. Like that's what happened now. Like that shit had a good push like a week or two ago. Like, it maybe got like a week and a half news cycle. But like, you talk about it now, it's like, nigga, we talked about that 2 weeks ago.
Right.
Right. So, like you have to continuously keep your sport at the forefront of people's minds to keep them invested and to continuously sell ads.
Yeah.
Right. And that's really what it comes down to is like, what type of content are you generating to continuously sell ads on networks? Right. Like the reason Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce are dating is because the NFL needed a storyline to bring in more people out of the population. And like, that sounds like a conspiracy theory, but I mean, I'm sure it's not as simple as that, but like, let's just be for real. Like, soon as they found out that they were dating or like anything close to it, they were about to lean into that shit like a motherfucker.
Sent a whole ticket package. Here you go.
Here you go. Here you go. And they show her at every game, like, because they need to be able to sell ads. Like, and that's just what it is. Like, that's why they're the richest league in the country. And that's just is what it is, right? Like, and until the NWSL figures out or MLS like figures out how to have a residual product that they can continue to sell ads on a day-to-day basis, like sorry, you're not going to be out here making no money.
Nah, MLS did figure it out. That's why they on Apple TV.
Oh, do you want to talk about this Apple TV shit real fast?
Yeah, let's do it.
So have you heard some of the rumors around like the MLS being real cagey about putting out them numbers from last year?
Yes, but why do you think that is?
Because they ain't good.
I doubt it.
I don't think they're good. Like I
That's
mean, I
fair.
think
I mean,
I think they're a bunch of blah. Like I'm not saying they bad, but I mean like if it was good news, they'd be out here talking about it. You know what I mean?
mm, yes, no,
You don't think so? You don't think if they were good numbers, they wouldn't be out here talking about them? I
no,
think we
because
wouldn't
they
hear the
have talked about them. They've said the numbers are good. Apple directly has said they were way better than we expected.
yeah, but if I
So,
expected them to be shit, and they end
yeah,
up
I mean that's one thing, but yeah, I don't think they expected them to be shit. I think they're taking another full season. Wait, last year was all yeah.
yeah,
They have one full season under their belt now. They have some
mm-hmm.
things to tweak, work on the shows that they were producing for the wrap up shows and pregame shows and shit like that. Um, I think there's they're really trying to figure out the revenue because they spent so much on marketing it and they gave away all those subscriptions to season ticket holders and shit like that. They're figuring out what they're actually going to make going forward. And I think another part of it is just like to keep, they have to keep the USL at bay. So you can't really
Mm,
say too much publicly because then you start giving USL ideas. And it's better to
mm,
let them speculate and think everything is hell and our numbers are ass and that's why we're hiding it than to be like, oh yeah, this Apple deal completely changed our shit. And then you got USL coming in the back door like, hey, how about us? We're here too. You can get a 2-for-1. You know what I mean? So it's
ooh,
better to just say nothing, let people think what they want. We know people are generally hating on MLS anyway and whatever moves they're making. So if you know that as a league commissioner, you just sit with that shit, do your numbers in the quiet, and then come, 2-3 seasons from now and shit is looking real different, you be like, I told y'all niggas. I told y'all niggas.
okay. Okay. Are you going to watch the what is the name of the show? Are you going to watch the 8-part docuseries that oh they don't have a name for it yet, I don't think. That MLS is putting on. Did you watch like Drive to Survive on Netflix or like Full Swing on Netflix that followed like the PGA Tour and like Formula One? Did you ever watch those?
I have seen episodes of Drive to Survive, but I did not like watch because I don't watch F1. So I was just like, all right, like it was interesting what I did see, but I'm just like, I don't care this much about none of this.
So they are MLS is getting the people that did that
Hmm.
to create their 8-part TV show,
Let's get it.
and it's going to be on Apple TV.
I'm here for it.
You are?
I'll watch the whole shit, start to finish. Absolutely. I need that.
Should
And
we
they went and got the best in the business to do it. Yeah, they serious.
should we should we dedicate ourselves to watching it? Um like and then doing like reviews per episode?
I'm here for it.
Okay,
Because
okay.
I'm watching that like, yeah,
We'll be some
I'm
homers and
soaking
do
all
it.
that up.
I
Huh?
need to I say we'll be some homers and do it. I need to get my
Yep.
MLS cred back. Like my shit's in the dumps, bro. Like my MLS
Oh
cred,
man.
my NWSL creds in the dumps, bro. Like people think I hate the NWSL and MLS right now. Like it's in the dumps. And honestly, I'm more excited than I've ever been for a MLS season or NWSL season. I just bought my Gotham FC jersey, so I got that thing coming in. I got
Oh
my Inter Miami
Lord.
jersey. I got my Inter Miami jersey
Oh,
coming in.
that's why now the truth comes out.
Your boy is ready. Your boy is ready. Wait till they come out with that Miami Dolphins Inter Miami jersey. I'm gonna have one of them too. Like I'm a
Now
homer,
I
bro.
see what's going on. You
I
a
gotta get my
what?
I'm a homer, bro. I'm a homer. I'm a homer. I'm a homer. You didn't know I was from New York? You didn't know I was from New York? You didn't know I moved to Miami when I was like 2 years old?
I ain't know that. You just put me on. You
Hometown teams,
just put me
man.
on.
Gotham FC and Inter Miami, my hometown teams, bro.
Oh man.
But yeah, man,
Nah,
like
yeah, it should be a really good season. So
yeah.
I feel you on that excitement. NYCFC has kind of shown that they were dead serious about what they said to us in the off season, and they've been spending some money, making some real signings. Some rumored ones that have not been announced yet, but look like they are near or already done. So, between all the teams across the league investing more in top talent from competing leagues around the world, and just the overall level of production and level of play increasing year over year. Like this year could be really, really fun, man. Really
Yeah.
fun.
I
The only
mean,
thing I'm still hating is this with this conference realignment shit because expansion teams shit is wonky and like basically the East don't play the West anymore. I don't like that.
yeah, there's way. I mean, I'm telling you, I think they should go to an NFL style schedule where you have like your in division teams. Like if you're gonna have MLS Cup, like you should have an in division schedule that makes people like care about rivalries. Because I don't care, like, I don't care what people say. I personally think that the more times you play your rivals, like, especially if they're local, like, the more times, like, you're able to, like, gin up, like, interest in it. Like, there's no reason why, like, there's no reason why there couldn't be a conference with like everybody in the Northeast, with like the Revolution, NYCFC, like Red Bull, and like
Philly.
Philadelphia, maybe throw DC in it or something like that. And all those teams play each other like two, three times a year, like hands down, right? And then you got to win your conference to like, well, you got to win your little division to get into like, the conference playoffs or whatever, right? Because like the NFL has it down, man. Like, I don't care what anybody says, the most exciting time of year, even if you don't watch football at all, is the NFL playoffs. Like, I don't even
Oh
watch
yeah.
football. I don't even watch football during the regular season, bro. Like, I'll occasionally catch a game during the regular season, but when it's playoff time, bro, I am glued
Mm-hmm.
because like all the storylines throughout the year, like, you're talking about like, people playing their rivals, like, possibly seeing this team, possibly seeing that team, like, and when it gets down to it, like, most times, like their best teams, like their best teams make it out. Like there's no
Yeah.
question that the best team in the NFL wins the Super Bowl. Like there's no
Yeah.
question.
No question. We're seeing that right now. Like even in the you have the conference championship coming up. The four teams there are fire, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Fire. So, it's a toss up, probably the Ravens, but you got the Ravens,
The
who they're
Chiefs.
playing?
The Ravens play the
Chiefs,
Chiefs and the Lions play the 49ers, which are
49ers, yeah.
which
It's a
I mean,
nice
like, yeah,
the only questionable one there is Detroit, but even
yeah,
still, you earned it. Like you have to earn it in the NFL. So that they're there, they're one of the best teams in the league, and they're gonna have another opportunity to try to prove it.
yeah. And I mean, like, that's the thing, like, that's the thing about the MLS, that I'm not really that just like I'm not really a fan of their playoffs because, like Columbus won the MLS Cup, but like I'm not even sure. Like I'm just not sure here. Let's look up like like where Columbus ended up in the Supporter Shield, which is like a far more like what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think the Supporter Shield is a far more like um like indicative. Yeah, they ended up third in the Supporter Shield this year, right? Which isn't bad, but
Not at
they
all.
no, no, no. Actually, they didn't. They didn't because that's just the East. I'm sorry. The full supporter shield. Oh, they ended up third. Yeah, they ended up third, and LAFC ended up eighth. So you got the third team in the supporter shield versus the eighth team in the supporter shield, right? Like, eh, I'm not exactly sure those are the two best teams in the league this year. I mean, you can make a case that Cincinnati was definitely the best team in the
Oh,
league
by
this year.
far. But I told you it wasn't gonna win that shit, bro.
Yeah,
Because that's not how MLS works, bro. You can't be that fucking good and win the MLS Cup. Like you gotta have a little pinch of. something else. I don't know why, but that's just how it is. There's a reason like almost no team has done it.
Yeah. Like Columbus finished third in the East and LAFC finished third in the East.
LAFC
So
could not finish third in the East. What are you talking about?
what? Third in the West. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
LAFC finished third in the West. Columbus finished third in the East.
Yeah. But I think that's right though. Like the shield is not important to what is important in MLS. So I think it's better to forego that shit altogether and just focus on MLS Cup. Like I
Yeah.
wouldn't be trying to ever be trying to win the Shield.
I mean, that's fair. Like that is that is fair, but I mean, like I think it's one of those things where like it's just like this hybrid thing is just one of the things that holds MLS back a little bit or like, holds NWSL back a little bit because like, you keep trying to Europeanize the game,
Mm-hmm.
but you still want to do things like have playoffs.
But I don't
Right?
think the league did that. The supporter shield is by and for fans of MLS. And they insisted on having a fucking European setup. And so the supporter shield.
Yeah, but I mean, like the supporter shield is more European than the playoffs.
Yeah, but MLS didn't pick it. That's my
I
only
know.
point. I can see if MLS had done it and was like, all right, this is what we're gonna do. But they didn't.
Yeah, but I mean, like they reward. I don't want to say they reward it. They treat it as like people treat it as like a domestic trophy. And I guess that's my point. Is like you want to
Yeah.
have the pro rail argument. Like, there's no way you can have pro rail with playoffs. Like, I'm not even sure how that would work. Right? Because, like you say, like like teams don't even play every other team.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So like how are you going to have pro rail and you play every other team and you don't play every other team?
We're not. That's it, like we're not. Think of what are you talking about? Like you acting like we having a debate like something's coming. It's not. We are not. Ever.
Well, I mean, there you have it. There you have it.
There you have it.
There you have it.
This has been Chop Soccer. We out of here.
We out of here.